Welcome to today's lesson on bacterial pathogens. In this session, we will learn about bacterial infections, as well as some significant examples of bacteria that cause disease. In our lesson today, we will focus on 4 key bacterial pathogens: cholera, tuberculosis, Helicobacter, and chlamydia. We will look into how each of these bacteria lead to a specific disease, their modes of transmission, and the symptoms that they cause. So far, you have learned that pathogens cause communicable diseases and discovered the various ways by which they are spread. You have also just completed lessons on viral and fungal diseases, enhancing your understanding of how different pathogens operate and affect human health. This foundational understanding equips us to appreciate the nuances of bacterial pathogens. By studying how these specific bacteria operate and impact health, we advance our biological understanding of how different pathogens affect the human body. This knowledge is essential for developing prevention strategies, as well as treatments for bacterial infections. Let's get started! To start, let's review what bacterial pathogens actually are. Bacteria are tiny cells that can reproduce rapidly inside plants and animals, causing diseases. Unlike viruses, which need a host cell to replicate, bacteria can multiply on their own, under the right conditions. Bacterial pathogens exhibit a variety of notable characteristics. One is their small size. Bacterial cells are much smaller than most plant or animal cells. A second is their rapid reproduction. Under ideal conditions, some bacteria can double in number every 20 minutes. A third is their toxin production. Many pathogenic bacteria produce toxins that can damage cells and tissues, making us feel ill. And finally, bacteria can persist within a variety of habitats. They can infect host cells or remain in spaces like body cavities and the digestive system. Not all bacteria are harmful. In fact, we have lots of beneficial bacteria in our large intestine that help us to digest food and maintain a healthy gut. These good bacteria are crucial for our overall health. However, some bacteria are pathogenic and harmful to the body. We will explore some of these in more detail now. Let's look at 4 examples of pathogenic bacteria and how they cause disease. Firstly, let's look at cholera. Cholera's mode of transmission is waterborne, meaning that it spreads through contaminated water sources. This bacterium infects the intestines. Its symptoms are severe diarrhoea and vomiting, which can lead to dehydration and even death if left untreated. Preventative measures include access to clean water, improved sanitation, and avoiding dirty water. These are essential measures to reduce transmission. The next bacterial disease we will look at is tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is airborne and spreads when an infected person coughs. It primarily infects the lungs. Symptoms include persistent coughing, bloody mucus, and lung damage. To lower transmission risk, it is important to avoid crowded areas in places where tuberculosis outbreaks occur, maintain good hygiene, and ensure that homes and workplaces are well ventilated. We will now look at Helicobacter bacteria. Helicobacter bacteria are spread through oral transmission. This pathogen typically infects the stomach, often during childhood. It can cause stomach ulcers, and symptoms may include abdominal pain, loss of appetite, bloating, and nausea. Some individuals may remain symptomless. Access to clean water is key to reducing the spread of Helicobacter. Finally, we will study chlamydia. Chlamydia is sexually transmitted through bodily fluids. This bacterium infects the reproductive organs. Some people show no symptoms, while others may experience pain during urination, unusual discharge, or bleeding after sex. Using condoms, getting screened after unprotected sex, and limiting the number of sexual partners can help reduce transmission. In today's lesson, we explored several important bacterial pathogens and their associated diseases. We started with cholera, a severe and often lethal diarrheal disease. Cholera is primarily spread through contaminated water and can lead to rapid dehydration and death if not treated promptly. Next, we covered tuberculosis, often shortened simply to TB. TB primarily infects the lungs and causes lung damage. It is a highly contagious airborne disease that can be transmitted in crowded or unventilated spaces. We also examined Helicobacter, a bacterium that infects the stomach lining and is a major cause of ulcers. This pathogen is spread orally, and prevention includes access to clean water. Finally, we discussed chlamydia, a common sexually transmitted infection. Chlamydia can be symptomless or cause pain during urination, unusual discharge, or bleeding after sex. Throughout the lesson, we emphasized the symptoms, transmission routes, and treatment options for these bacterial diseases. We also highlighted the importance of hygiene to prevent and control these infections. By understanding these bacterial pathogens, you now have a clearer picture of how bacterial diseases operate and impact human health, which is a vital component in the broader study of infection and response.